Howdy, I'm Bob. And welcome to Bobcat. You may notice that I'm alone. That is because I'm taking a class called Literacy in the Content Area. In summary, the class talks about how each subject can work towards developing a student's reading, writing, speaking, listening, and comprehension skills. A large part of this class is doing projects from the student's perspective, along with talking about them on the teacher level. One of these projects is called the Multi-Genre Research Project. This project's goal is to enable students to utilize different tools to explain what they've learned, because being honest, when's the last time you read a research paper for fun? I had to read research papers for this. Dun dun dun. The goal of this video is A, meet the requirements for a non-text-based genre of explanation, along with B, being a short summary of everything I learned. I chose to research the Pokemon League. I did this in 3 parts. A pseudo-paper and why someone wants to join the Pokemon League, along with capture Pokemon as a whole, a lot of data collection into what the average league member has in terms of Pokemon, moveset, level, etc., and a practice in creating a Paldea gym leader with this knowledge. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the video. Actually, with further ado, Katie also made a video discussing the Octopath Traveler soundtrack. Go watch that after this if you want to go see what they talked about for their project. The first part of this project was a paper on why someone wants to become a Pokemon League member. I will admit, I don't know much about the lore of Pokemon. Only recently have I started getting into Pokemon's lore, and that's primarily been with Sword and Shield. I looked into a little bit of lore stuffs, however, looking into each gym leader's lore would have taken too long. A common theme I got when looking into those I did was that they wanted to prove that they are/were better than people originally thought they were, or that they wanted to prove themselves better than their predecessors. Janine wanted to show that they could be a better gym leader than their father and ultimately the player character after being defeated by them. Iris wanted to show that they were as strong as their mentor Alder, and Marnie wanted to show the power of the dark type to the Galar region beyond what Pierre's has done. I do apologize if any of this is wrong. Again, my Pokemon lore knowledge is a bit weak, and if I forgot any Pokemon trainers, as in I forgot many Pokemon trainers, tell me in the comments below so I can keep learning. Next, I talked to a number of friends and asked them, and myself, why they love Pokemon. Katie and I obviously love Pokemon, but for different reasons. I love being able to explore how different types interact with the game environment, along with what goes into balancing a Pokemon game. Katie loves the side games, and my friends ranged from loving Pokemon designs, to the lore, to even the competitive side. I also read a couple of more scholarly articles about why people play Pokemon Go. Both articles talk about how Pokemon Go uses goals to keep players hooked and wanting to obtain more, be it a shiny Pokemon, the highest CP or level number, or completing the Pokedex. Links to both of these articles and my paper are in the description below if you're interested in giving them a read. This is where the truly nerdy side of me shines through. I spent far too much time looking at Bulbapedia at every single Pokemon League member of every single instance thereof, learning what they had. Let me lay some ground rules out before I discuss what I found. I only included mainline games with North American releases that had gym leaders or Elite Four members. So the games or parts thereof that I excluded are Japanese Red and Green, no North American release, Pokemon Let's Go, arguable if it counts as a mainline game, and with time restraints, I figured that not including it is fine. Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon pre-Elite Four, no gym leaders, they have kahunas instead. Sword and Shield post-gym battles, no traditional Elite Four, and Pokemon Legends Arceus, no gym leaders or Elite Four. Also, I only included teams from your first playthrough through a region. This means that though other gym leaders exist post-game, they have been ignored as you don't battle them as Gym 1 through 8 before you are the champion of the region. Every gym leader was also only counted once unless they had a new, unique team in a different game. For example, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal all have the same Pokemon League members with exactly the same teams, so only one instance of these teams were counted. Kahunas were ignored for the purposes of this, as they aren't gym leaders and have their own rules. In Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon lore, you are the first champion of the region, so there's no technical champion to battle. However, in order to receive the title of champion, you need to defeat Professor Kukui or How, respectively. Because of this, they were included as champions for purposes of averages. Scarlet and Violet was ordered in level order, despite being able to technically challenge the gyms in any order. And finally, X and Y's Elite Four members were put into an arbitrary order, as all four are identical for purposes of this data. Let's go over some lesser findings before we get into the weeds. TM moves seem to be fair game across all generations. Held item usage and hidden ability usage are on a generation by generation basis. Some generations allow them across the board, others only allow them because they're part of the main gimmick of the game, and others just say no. Single battle is by far the most common type of battle, with double battle occurring 3.5 times. The reason I say 3.5 is that Tate and Liza occur twice, once in their main game and once in their remake. I'll let you decide if that counts as a whole nother occurrence or not. On to type representation. For Champion, the only 3 types represented are Water, Steel, and Dragon, Dragon being the most represented with 2 dedicated trainers. Elite Four members are somewhat more diverse. Tied for 3rd place with 2 showings each are Fire, Ice, Poison, and Flying. Tied for 2nd place with 3 showings each are Fighting, Psychic, Dark, and Steel. And tied for 1st with 4 showings each are Ghost and Dragon. 4 types have also never shown up, being Fairy, Grass, Electric, and Normal. This is surprising to me, saying that Fairy is a strong type and I feel should have been in an Elite Four, and Grass and Electric are fairly iconic types. I'm just sad that Normal type hasn't gotten in. Larry was so close, but why do you have to ruin it, Gita? And to gym types. Every type in the game has had a gym leader at some point, with Dark being in dead last, with only Pierre's being a Dark type gym leader. Tied for 3rd place at 5 gyms each are Rock, Fighting, and Normal. I was genuinely surprised to see Normal this high up. Tied for 2nd at 6 gyms each are Electric, Grass, and Ice. And our solo 1st place at 8 gyms is Water. None of these, apart from the aforementioned Normal type, I was very surprised about. Finally is number averages. I collected data on the number of Pokemon each league member has, along with the level of them and the number of moves each of them knows. For each league spot, I will be giving 2 pieces of information. The rounded average. When I was averaging the data, I got a lot of decimals, and so for ease of digestion, I will be rounding it to the nearest whole number. If you're interested in what the numbers actually are, there are links in the description as always. And the range, say levels 3 to 5, or moves known as 2 to 4. Gym 1 knows a rounded average of 3 moves. The range is 2 to 4 moves. Gym 2 knows a rounded average of 3 moves. The range is also 2 to 4. Gym 3 knows a rounded average of 4 moves. The range is 2 to 4. Gym 4, average 4 moves, range 2 to 4. Gym 5, average 4 moves, range 2 to 4. Gym 6, 4 moves, 2 to 4. Gym 7, 4 moves, 3 to 4. And Gym 8 knows a rounded average of 4 moves, the range is 3 to 4. The first Elite Four member knows a rounded average of 4 moves. The range is 2 to 4. The second Elite Four member knows an average of 4 moves, range 3 to 4. The third Elite Four member knows 4 moves. Every third Elite Four member knows 4 moves. Interestingly though, the fourth Elite Four member knows a rounded average of 4 moves. Hassel is the one who ruins this with his Ace Excalibur only knowing 3 moves. The champion though, as expected, all know 4 moves. Onto the average level for each league member. I will say before we continue though, there's a pretty heavy outlier being Gen 2's Gold, Silver, and Crystal. I still included them for purposes of the average, but the camera died. Gym 1's average level is 13 with a range of 7 to 20. Gym 2's average level is 19 with a range of 14 to 25. Gym 3's average level is 24 with a range of 17 to 30. Gym's 4 average level is 28 with a range of 21 to 36. Gym's 5 average is 35, range of 27 to 48. Gym 6's average is 37, range of 29 to 50. Gym 7's average is 41, range 27 to 54. And Gym's 8 average is 46, range of 37 to 59. Onto the Pokemon League. The first Elite Four's average level is 53 with a range of 40 to 65. The second Elite Four's average level is 53 with a range of 42 to 65. The first Elite Four's average is rounding up to 53, while the second's is rounding down. The third Elite Four's average level is 54 with a range of 42 to 65. The 4th Elite Four's average level is 56, with a range of 42 to 65. Finally, the Champion's average level is 59, with a range of 44 to 77. Finally, onto the real reason I wanted to do this: the average number of Pokemon each league member has. I know a lot of people have had personal opinions on the number of Pokemon each league member should have, but I wanted to know what the definitive number is. As always, all of these averages are rounded. Starting with Gym 1, the average number of Pokemon is 2, with a range of 2 to 3. Gym 2 has an average of 3 Pokemon with a range of 2 to 3. Gym 3 has an average of 3 Pokemon with a range of 1 to 4. Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon Yellow Team. Gym 4 has also an average of 3 Pokemon with a range of 3 to 4. Gym 5 has an average of 3 Pokemon as well, with a range of 2 to 4. The next 3 gyms are a bit odd. Gym 6 has a range of 3 to 5. Gym 7 has a range of 3 to 4, and Gym 8, 3 to 5. Gym 6 and 8 have a rounded average of 4 Pokemon, while Gym 7 has a rounded average of 3 Pokemon. Gym 6 and 7's true average are within 0.04 of each other, but due to rounding, we get this split. The Elite Four tells a more simple tale. All Elite Four spots average 5 Pokemon with a range of 4 to 5, although Elite Four spots 1 through 3 are all identical, with the 4th spot having a slightly lower average. Every single champion has 6 Pokemon. After seeing the average number of Pokemon, it was interesting to see that only the champion was allowed to have 6 Pokemon, and furthermore, that only the Elite Four had an average of 5 Pokemon. I honestly expected Gym 8 to have a higher average than it actually did. This is where things get exciting. I decided to take all this learned knowledge and apply it. I wanted to make my own league member. As always, a few clarifying rules before we get started. For purposes of this demonstration, I created a Paldea league member. This means I can only use Pokemon from the Paldea Pokédex. I also followed rules that I found in the patterns set by the Pokemon league members. This means that my ace is 1 level higher than the rest of my team, no hidden abilities, Scarlet and Violet other game balancing shenanigans, and stuff more unique to the game, such as creating a gym challenge and having a gym theme. The type I chose was my personal favorite type, Normal type. I know that Larry exists, but I wanted to have some fun with this, and my team seldom overlaps with his. The theme I chose was hotels and hospitality. Each Pokemon I chose has a connection to this in some way that I'll explain each time the Pokemon shows up for the first time. My idea for a gym challenge is a room service puzzle. Walking around a hotel, you'll find hints over which occupant wants what. If you give an occupant the wrong thing, they will battle you. Once you give each occupant the right item, my gym leader will come out and battle you. They will give the player the TM helping hand for beating them as gyms 1 through 4, or baton pass for beating them as gyms 5 through 8. 2 final notes. I tried to give every Pokemon a normal type move with preference towards an attacking move. I also followed the average number of Pokemon that each gym had from the data that we collected earlier, apart from Gym 7. It felt kinda odd to lose a random member to only regain it in Gym 8, so I just gave Gym 7 4 Pokemon as well. With all that out of the way, let's talk about what my first gym is. Gym 1 has 2 Pokemon, the first of which is a level 13 Smoliv. Smoliv has the ability Early Bird and 2 moves, being Razor Leaf and Tackle. I imagine Smoliv representing the drink given out by the hotel room service, as olives are a common ingredient of some cocktails. My ace Pokemon for each team I created is Rotom. For Gym 1, Rotom is level 14, with the only ability they can have, Levitate. They know Thunder Shock and Protect. Rotom represents the behind the scenes of a hotel's working and everyone that goes into making a hospitable hotel. Gym 2 gains a 3rd member to the team, being a level 17 Lechonk. She has the ability Aroma Veil and the moves Covet and Disarming Voice. Just as Smoliv represents the drink, Lechonk represents the food. Smoliv is now level 17 and knows the moves Razor Leaf and Flail. Rotom is level 18 with the moves Thundershock, Protect, and Confuse Ray. Gym 3 has Lechonk evolve into Oinkologne. Oinkologne is level 24 with the ability Lingering Aroma. She knows the moves Disarming Voice and Headbutt. Smoliv is also level 24 with the moves Razor Leaf, Flail, and Mega Drain. Rotom is level 25, knowing Protect, Confuse Ray, and Charge Beam. Gym 4 sees Smoliv evolving into Dolliv, being level 29. They have the same moves as before, being Razor Leaf, Flail, and Mega Drain. Oinkologne is now level 29, knowing the moves Disarming Voice, Headbutt, and Yawn. And base form Rotom is no more, now being Mo Rotom at level 30. Rotom knows the moves Protect, Hex, Shockwave, and Leaf Storm. Gym 5, Dolliv is now level 34, knowing Magical Leaf, Flail, and Mega Drain. Oinkologne is also level 34, knowing Disarming Voice, Headbutt, Yawn, and Workup. Rotom is now Fan Rotom at level 35. They know Protect, Hex, Shockwave, and Nair Slash. Gym 6 adds an additional member to the team, Komala. They are level 40 with the only ability they can know, Comatose. They know Yawn, Slam, Sucker Punch, and Rock Slide. Komala represents bed and sleep. Pretty self-explanatory. Dolliv evolves into Arboliva, also being level 34. Their ability changes to Seed Sour. Seed Sower? It's one of the two. And they know Flail, Mega Drain, Weather Ball, and Leech Seed. Oinkologne at level 40 knows Headbutt, Yawn, Workup, and Bulldoze. Rotom is now Heat Rotom at level 41, knowing Protect, Hex, Shockwave, and Overheat. Gym 7. Arboliva is now level 45, knows Mega Drain, Weather Ball, Leech Seed, and Hyper Voice. Komala, also level 45, knows Yawn, Sucker Punch, Rock Slide, and Body Slam. Oinkologne, level 45, knows Yawn, Workup, Bulldoze, and Giga Impact. Rotom is now level 46 Wash Rotom, knowing Protect, Hex, Shockwave, and Hydro Pump. I am covered in cat hair. And to conclude the gyms, Gym 8, we see our newest member, Cyclizar, join the crew at level 48. They have the ability Shed Skin and know the moves Rapid Spin, Dragon Claw, Shift Gear, and Iron Head. Cyclizar represents the transport needed to get to a hotel and for the hotel to work. Arboliva, level 48, knows Weather Ball, Hyper Voice, Leech Seed, and Giga Drain. Komala, level 48, knows Yawn, Sucker Punch, Rock Slide, and Thrash. Oinkologne, level 48, knows Yawn, Workup, Giga Impact, and Stopping Tantrum. And Rotom turns into its final form, Frost Rotom at level 49. They know Hex, Shockwave, Hyper Voice, and Blizzard. On to the Elite Four and Champion. I created my Elite Four member as if it was the first one. I'm getting a call. Hey. Oh, it is 100% school related. I mean, this current one is Pokemon themed, but it is still school related. Yeah, no, I'm surrounded by Pokemon, but it is for my master's class. It is for my degree. That is, yeah. That was a phone call. On to the Elite Four and Champion. I created my Elite Four member as the first Elite Four member. I love the normal type, however, I feel that if they were to include a normal type Elite Four member, it would probably be the first one. This team sees Komala and Oinkologne are the same moves, only they are now level 57. Cyclizar knows Shift Gear, Iron Head, Double Edge, and Dragon Rush. We gain a fifth member, being a Ditto. I broke the no hidden abilities rule with Ditto having Imposter, though I feel Ditto breaking this rule is fine as Ditto is such a unique Pokemon. Of course, they also know Transform. By adding Ditto, we drop Arboliva. My reasoning is that now that I'm creating an Elite Four member, I no longer have to strictly follow my hospitality theme, and I wanted to use Ditto as I used one on my original playthrough of Scarlet and Violet. However, Ditto would represent the familiarity that a hotel tries to provide. Frost Rotom is now level 58, knowing Hyper Voice, Blizzard, Shadow Ball, and Discharge. Finally, the Champion. As the Champion, the entire team is the same as the Elite Four team with two exceptions. We regain Arboliva, also level 62, with the same moveset as when they were in Gym 8, and Frost Rotom. They are instead level 63 and know the moves Hyper Voice, Blizzard, Shadow Ball, and Thunderbolt. So that was a video. I hope you enjoyed a fairly long dive into my Pokemon nerdom. Being able to research whatever to this degree for a class was awesome. I feel like I've learned some secret knowledge surrounding Pokemon and I hope to utilize it in the future. Anyways, putting the cat